Russell Wilson. We know there has been kind of a rift between Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson wanted more control of the offense last season, even when the offense was rolling. They gave Wilson that. Then in the second half of the season, the offense tanked, and now Pete Carroll basically doesn't want to trust the offense into Russell Wilson's hands because he didn't do so well with it last season, which I think is a reasonable way to think. You told me you can do it. I let you do it. You didn't do it. So now I don't want you to do that same thing, but it's hard to tell a guy who's making $40 million no. And because of that, there is a rift, and we're hearing some teams that may trade for Russell Wilson. One of the teams at the forefront of those conversations are the Chicago Bears. Do you believe that the Chicago Bears are going to trade for Russell Wilson?
Well, I'll say this. Overall, I've said from the beginning that these discussions came out, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought there was no way he was being traded. The more we hear about it, the more I think it's a realistic possibility, and so you have to at least analyze it and give it a second thought. The Cowboys, off the table. They got their guy in Dak Prescott. There was only 3 other destinations that he listed that he would agree a trade to. The Saints were one of them. I think with their cap situation, I don't think it's a realistic option. I'm sure they could make it work, but is it worth making it work with all the hoops they would have to jump through money-wise? I just don't see that happening. So it comes down to the Raiders and the Bears. And the thing I'll say about the Bears is it seems to me that they're in a position where Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy and everybody else in that building is working for their job. They're playing for their job this season. And at the end of the day, what better way to win than bring in a guy like Russell Wilson? I think that Ryan Pace is in save his behind mode, and I think he will overpay to get a guy like Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. If they become available, I think the Bears will be the team to scoop up one of those two guys. And at this point, it's seeming more realistic to me that Wilson gets traded than Watson does, because the Texans have yet again doubled down today that Deshaun Watson is their guy. There is no contingency plan. There is no backup plan. He will be there, or at least he'll be, he won't be traded. He won't be moved. So that leaves Russell Wilson. Is he actually available? Who knows? But if he is, I would be willing to bet Ryan Pace is on the phone, willing to overpay to go and get him because he needs to save his job.
I'm glad you mentioned Deshaun Watson because he's definitely a candidate to go to the Chicago Bears. But talking about Russell Wilson, we know he's a great quarterback. He threw for 4,000 yards last year, 40 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. He had a 69% completion percentage. And the position that's been holding back the Chicago Bears this entire time has been the quarterback. Picking Mitchell Trubisky over Mahomes and Watson really set that franchise back. They tried to right a wrong by getting Nick Foles. Nick Foles was pretty disappointing. So they need a quarterback, and I agree with you. Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy, but Ryan Pace specifically, he is doing whatever it takes to keep his job. And I believe it doesn't matter if he has to give 15 years worth of first-round picks. He's going to give that much up to get a quarterback, because I do the same thing if I was in this position. If I know I don't get a guy who can play the quarterback position and we don't live up to expectations next season according to ownership, I'm going to be fired. So I don't care if I have to give 15 first-round picks to the Seahawks for Russell Wilson. I'm going to do it because if I get fired 4 years into this, it's not my problem anymore. And that's how a lot of these guys think. So because of that, I think that he is going to outbid anybody to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. And I think Deshaun Watson is more realistic because we know he's going to get traded. We know he's going to get traded eventually. I think he's going to get traded after June. That's just what I think. But Russell Wilson, do I like his fit in Chicago? Not that much, because Matt Nagy seems like a hard-headed coach. And I think Russell Wilson is kind of a guy who's stubborn as well. So putting both of those guys in the same room together, I think, is going to create chaos. But when you look at the Bears' offense, in 2018, they had the 9th-ranked offense. In 2019, they had the 29th-ranked offense. And in 2020, they had the 22nd-ranked offense. And this is by points. So this isn't by yardage or anything like that. So it is clear they need a better player at quarterback to get that offense at a top 10 level because their defense is really good. Even though their defense has dropped off. In 2018, they had the first-ranked defense. 2019, the fourth. And now this past year, they had the 14th-ranked defense. So that defense has been declining. It is getting older. So is Russell Wilson coming into the 2018 Bears defense? No, he's not. He's coming into a defense that is declining just a bit. And the Bears' O-line is still not good. Their defense is aging. But I do like their weapons. I think them franchise tagging Allen Robinson says a lot about their pursuit in a quarterback this offseason. And believe it or not, I like Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney can blossom into an 1,000-yard receiver. I really believe in Darnell Mooney. And I think Cole Kmet, he's the name you got to watch out for because I think he's coming as well.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you brought up the tagging of Allen Robinson because realistically, what's the point of that if you're not planning on bringing in a quarterback that you think will keep him around? And when you look around the landscape of the league right now, what quarterbacks are doing that? There is nobody outside of Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson that is available, or at least that we know of that's available, that will entice a guy like Allen Robinson to stay in Chicago after the offseason that he's had with what he said on Twitter and whatever he's gone out and said. I think they truly believe they're going to start the season with one of those two guys, and it makes total sense. You know, what does Ryan Pace have to lose? The worst case scenario is he throws the Seahawks 5 first-round picks for Russell Wilson, and then what? He gets fired? It's not his situation to deal with anymore. You know, you got a fire in the kitchen, you bring out the fire extinguisher, you clean up the mess later, but you got to put out that fire first. And I think right now, Ryan Pace has a fire in his kitchen, and it's the quarterback situation, and he's got to put out that fire before he can deal with the mess that comes after it.
I mean, I agree. I like the analogy that you used.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know you wanted that pat in the back. I know you thought it was gonna go over my head. But yeah, I agree. I think they really do need to fix that quarterback position. I don't think Sam Darnold is the answer. I don't think any of these project quarterbacks are the answer. They need to get a solidified guy, and I think they are going to do whatever it takes to get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson in the building next season.